This is my mealworm setup where I raise my mealworms. Let me see if I can find the beetles. In here will be your beetles. And these are what lay your mealworms. First off, you'll want to buy a tub or have somebody give you some mealworms that you buy out of the store in one of these little tubs, and just take a handful and throw them in your oats. And this is just plain old Quaker oats that you get at Walmart, and I actually got the Walmart brand. Then, like, I've got beans in here. Beans won't ruin your oatmeal, but if you have anything else that's like soggy, like I'm fixing to give them some greens, then you'll want to put it on some kind of a tray, just because the oatmeal will mold, and you don't want that to happen. Although the beetles will lay eggs in the molded oatmeal, so you don't want to, like, if you do put some in there and it does mold, then you'll want to look under it when you pick it up to make sure there's no worms in there. But these worms have been in here since I started it in September, and now they're producing really well. So I'll show you the mealworms. You can see them moving around, these guys. And I've already dug a whole bunch of them out, but it takes about that long for them to start producing. But once they do produce, then you're going to have like oodles of mealworms. And the first they'll be small, so you'll not want to mess with them. But then, you know, they'll get some size on them. And depending on what you're feeding, God, my dogs want to act gay when I'm on the trying to video. But there's a big fat one. I pulled a lot of the fat ones out. But depending on what you want to feed them, you can let them get bigger, you know. But just remember that the longer they're in here, the more likely they may turn into beetles. But you do want them to turn into beetles, because eventually your beetles are going to pass away, like this guy. They don't live forever. So eventually you're going to have dead ones. Just take them out. Because, of course, if they pass away, they can't lay eggs. And what you're wanting is egg layers, as many as possible. Theoretically, there's a fat one. Theoretically, there could be more oats in here. But this being my first batch, I made it kind of thin just because I didn't know what I was doing, and I wasn't sure that I would be able to do it. But I mean, this is easier than superworms. Superworms are really hard to breed for me. It's just this actually goes in my snake rack. But if you had one of these without a snake rack, then you know, make sure you have a lid for it. But I just take greens that I feed my bearded dragons, and I set them on the tray. And then beans, for some reason they don't mold, so I just drop them wherever. And they eat the oats, and they also eat the whatever you put in here with them. Some people put cat food. I always put a little tray of water, but I put a paper towel in it just in case they get in it, they can't drown. And it works fine. But if you don't want to put water in there, they'll get their water from the greens, as long as you feed them greens on a regular basis. If you're not going to feed them greens, then you need to have some water. But that's my setup, and like I said, it's been going since September, and now is when I'm collecting the full grown mealworms. So, you know, a couple months. In hindsight, I probably would have had 2 of these going, just because those babies eat a whole lot. Until I find, you know, till they go to their homes, they're going to be nibbling off of these mealworms. So I should have probably started 2 colonies, or maybe 3. But, I mean, it's fine because you're not going to feed these all the time anyway, so. But that's my little mealworm colony. And when you dig for them, they're going to be, I mean, you could see them moving, but if that's going to focus, they're everywhere. They tend to want to collect in this ridge that's in between the thing, and I guess that's maybe just where they gravitate to, but I find a lot of them in the ridge, so I keep most of the stuff in the ridge, but that's how I do it. Simple.